Welcome to our deep dive on mindsets.
Great to be here.
You've sent over some fascinating material on fixed and growth mindsets,
Yeah,
and I'm really curious to unpack this with you.
sure.
I have to admit, before diving into these sources, I kind of thought mindset was just, a buzzword,
hmm
but some of this research is pretty eye-opening.
It's more than just buzz, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The way we view our abilities, whether you believe they're fixed or capable of growth, can profoundly impact how we navigate challenges, successes, and even our overall happiness.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty, can you give us a quick definition of mindset that our listener can grasp?
Absolutely.
I think sometimes these psychological terms can feel a little abstract.
In the simplest terms, your mindset is your deeply held belief about your abilities and potential. Do you believe your intelligence, talents, and personality are set in stone, or do you believe they can be developed and expanded over time? That's the core distinction between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset.
So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's a deeper, more fundamental belief about how we see ourselves.
Exactly. It shapes how we interpret our experiences and influences our choices and behaviors. For example, imagine two people who both receive criticism on a project. Someone with a fixed mindset might see that criticism as a personal attack, a confirmation that they're not good enough. But someone with a growth mindset might see it as valuable feedback, an opportunity to learn and improve.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, I know Carol Dweck's work is kind of the gold standard when it comes to mindset research.
hmm
What were some of the key takeaways you found from her studies?
One of Dweck's most groundbreaking discoveries was the impact of praise on children's mindsets. In one study, children were given a series of puzzles to solve. Some were praised for their intelligence, you're so smart,
Right.
while others were praised for their effort, you worked really hard. What they found was fascinating. The kids who were praised for effort were more likely to embrace challenging tasks and persist even when they made mistakes.
Wait, so praising intelligence can actually backfire.
It's counterintuitive, isn't it?
I never would have guessed that.
But what happens is that when children are constantly told they're smart, they become afraid of making mistakes because they don't want to jeopardize that smart label. It creates a fear of failure that can actually hinder their learning and growth.
So it's almost like they become trapped by that label,
Yeah,
afraid to step outside of their comfort zone for fear of no longer being seen as the smart one.
precisely. On the other hand, when kids are praised for their effort, it sends the message that their abilities are malleable, that they can improve through hard work and dedication. It fosters a love of learning and a willingness to embrace challenges.
Okay, I see how that could really set the stage for either a fixed or growth mindset from a very young age.
Mm.
But let's talk about adults. Is it possible to shift our mindset later in life?
Sure.
Or are we pretty much stuck with whatever we developed as kids?
While our early experiences certainly shape our mindsets, the great news is that our brains are remarkably adaptable. Neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to change and rewire itself, means we can absolutely cultivate a growth mindset even if we've been operating from a fixed mindset for years.
That's reassuring. But where do we even begin? If someone's been stuck in a fixed mindset for a long time, how do they start to make that shift? It feels a little daunting.
One of the first steps is to become aware of your self-talk. Start paying attention to those negative thought patterns that pop up when you face a challenge. Things like, I'm not good at this, or I'm going to fail, or this is too hard.
Oh, I know those thoughts all too well. But just being aware of them, how does that actually change anything?
It's about recognizing those thoughts for what they are. Just thoughts, not facts. Often, these fixed mindset thoughts are based on fear or past experiences, not on our actual abilities. Once you start to identify those thoughts, you can challenge them. Ask yourself, is this belief helpful? Is it based on evidence or just fear?
So it's like catching myself in the act of negative self-talk and then choosing a different way to think. I guess it's like any habit. It takes practice and repetition to rewire those neural pathways.
Exactly. It's like building a muscle. The more you practice reframing those negative thoughts and adopting a growth mindset approach, the stronger those new neural connections become.
Okay, so becoming aware of our self-talk is a good starting point. What are some other concrete steps our listener can take to start building a growth mindset? So becoming aware of our self-talk is a good starting point. What are some other concrete steps our listener can take to start building a growth mindset?
One powerful strategy is to shift your focus from performance goals to learning goals.
Okay.
Instead of fixating on achieving a specific outcome, prioritize the process of developing your skills and knowledge.
Can you give us an example of what that would look like in practice?
Absolutely. Let's say you're learning to play a new musical instrument.
Mhm.
With a performance goal, you might be hyper-focused on playing a particular song perfectly by a certain date. But with a learning goal, you'd emphasize mastering the fundamental techniques, understanding music theory, and enjoying the process of gradual improvement.
So it's about taking the pressure off the end result
Yeah,
and focusing on the journey of growth and mastery.
precisely. And when you inevitably encounter setbacks, because let's face it, we all do reframe them as opportunities for learning and growth, ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can I use this to improve next time?
That's such a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, we can view them as valuable feedback that helps us course correct and ultimately become more resilient.
Exactly. And remember, a growth mindset isn't about becoming some sort of superhuman who never makes mistakes.
Mm.
It's about embracing challenges, learning from our missteps, and continually striving to expand our
It's
abilities.
funny, you mentioned Michael Jordan earlier, and I just remembered reading that he once said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Talk about embracing failure as part of the journey.
That's a perfect example of how a growth mindset can lead to extraordinary achievements. Michael Jordan didn't let those missed shots define him. He saw them as opportunities to refine his skills and become an even better player.
It makes you wonder how many potential Michael Jordans are out there, stuck in a fixed mindset, afraid to even try for fear of not being instantly perfect.
It's a sobering thought, isn't it? But the good news is that we can all choose to cultivate a growth mindset, no matter our age, background, or past experiences.
Okay, so we've talked about becoming aware of our self-talk, shifting our focus to learning goals, and reframing setbacks as opportunities for growth. Are there any other key strategies our listeners should know about?
One of the most important and often overlooked aspects of building a growth mindset is seeking out feedback.
Hmm, I can see how that ties into the whole learning from mistakes thing.
Yeah.
But feedback can be hard to swallow sometimes, even when it's well-intentioned. I know I've been guilty of getting defensive when someone critiques my work.
It's a natural human response to feel a little stung by criticism. But remember, feedback is information. It's a valuable tool that can help us identify blind spots, refine our skills, and ultimately become better at what we do.
So it's about shifting our perspective from this person is attacking me to this person's giving me information that can help me grow.
Exactly. And when you approach feedback with a growth mindset, you're signaling to others that you're open to learning and improvement, which can foster stronger relationships, both personally and professionally.
So it's not just about becoming better at a particular skill.
No.
It's about developing a more open and receptive way of being in the world.
Absolutely. A growth mindset is about embracing lifelong learning and recognizing that we always have room to grow and evolve.
It almost sounds like a superpower. The ability to transform challenges into opportunities and setbacks into fuel for growth.
You know, in a way, it is a superpower. It's the power to unlock our full potential and achieve things we never thought possible.
Okay, I'm feeling pretty inspired right now, but I have to confess, even with all these amazing strategies, I think there's still a part of me that worries about failing.
Yeah.
Is it even possible to completely eliminate that fear?
That's a great question, and I think it's important to acknowledge that even the most successful people experience fear and doubt. It's part of the human condition. But a growth mindset isn't about eradicating fear. It's about choosing courage over comfort. It's about recognizing that growth and discomfort often go hand in hand.
It's about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. As they say, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Exactly. And remember, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process. It's those setbacks and challenges that ultimately shape us and make us stronger.
It's like that quote from Samuel Beckett. Ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again, fail better.
I love that quote. It perfectly captures the spirit of a growth mindset.
You know, thinking back to our listener, I wonder how they're feeling right now.
Hmm.
Have we given them enough practical tools to start making this shift? I want to make sure they walk away feeling empowered, not overwhelmed.
That's a great point. I think it's important to remember that developing a growth mindset is a journey, not a destination. It's an ongoing process of self-discovery and continuous improvement.
So there's no pressure to have it all figured out right away. It's okay to take baby steps and celebrate small wins along the way.
Absolutely. The key is to be patient with yourself, embrace the process, and never stop learning and growing.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. I feel like I've not only learned a lot about mindsets, but I've also gained some really practical tools to start applying these concepts to my own life.
That's fantastic to hear. And remember, the beauty of a growth mindset is that it's applicable to virtually every aspect of our lives, from our careers and relationships to our personal growth and even our physical health.
It makes you wonder how many areas of our lives are being held back by fixed mindset thinking without us even realizing it.
Right.
So for our listener who's been taking in all this information about fixed versus growth mindsets, what's one key takeaway they should really walk away with?
If there's one thing I hope our listener remembers, it's this. Your mindset is not set in stone.
Okay.
You have the power to choose how you view your abilities and your potential. You can choose to see challenges as threats or as opportunities for growth. You can choose to let setbacks define you or to use them as fuel to become even stronger.
It's such a powerful message. We're not victims of our circumstances or our past experiences. We have the power to choose a different path, a path of growth and possibility. I think that's incredibly inspiring.
It is inspiring and it's also liberating. When you embrace a growth mindset, you open yourself up to a world of possibilities. You become a more resilient, adaptable, and engaged individual, ready to face whatever challenges life throws your way.
And I think that's a perfect note to end on. To our listener, as you go about your day, your week, your life, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on your own mindset. Where do you see those fixed mindset thoughts creeping in? And how can you start to challenge those thoughts and embrace a growth mindset approach? It might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but I promise you the rewards are worth it.
Absolutely. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are countless resources available, books, articles, podcasts that can offer guidance and support as you embark on this journey of growth and self-discovery.
And of course, you can always revisit the show notes for this episode to find links to some of those helpful resources. We'll be back next week with a deep dive into a brand new topic. But until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.